Hi, I'm Brett, and I'm going to teach you how to play a tune by Stevie Ray Vaughan called Lenny. This lesson is going to be in two parts, really. The first is probably more directed towards beginners, beginners and intermediate. I'm going to go into how to play the chords and a couple of the fills. And the song is actually a lot simpler than it looks, or than it sounds. And then what I'm going to get into is probably some more advanced stuff. And how you play over those changes. And I'm going to assume you already know how to play for the changes. You know the basic pentatonic box patterns and mixolydian. And what I'm going to show you how to do is kind of use those to play over the chords instead of just playing one single scale over the entire passage. How to mix up the scales and really make your soloing move. And I know that just for me personally, once I discovered a couple things about how you change around the blues scales over the different chords, a whole lot of doors opened for me, and it really helped me in terms of learning how to improvise over the blues and also to get the correct delivery so that I sounded more like a blues player and less like a heavy metal rock player trying to sound like a blues player, if that makes sense. So hopefully there will be a little something for everybody in this lesson. So first of all, let's talk about just the basic way the song is laid out. There's really only two shapes, two chord shapes that you have to think about. The first one is based off E major 7. It's an E major 7 /6, I think, if you really want to get technical about what you call it. And you don't play the low E string. On the A string, it's the 7th fret. On the D string, it's the 9th. On the G string, it's the 8th. On the B string, it's the 9th. And on the high E string, it's the 9th. So it's basically an E major 7th chord with the C sharp as a melody note, which would be the 6th. And then the next chord is an A6th. And it's basically you play the low E, 5th fret. You skip the A string. On the D string, 4th fret. G string, 6, and B string, the 5th fret, and you don't play the high E. So remember that shape, because that shape is going to come around, is going to be slid up and down the neck and then turn around. So the basic layout of the song is and then he throws a couple E major licks in there as well. The first ones is to move you from the E down to the A. high E string, 7th fret. Then on the B string, 7th, slide up to the 9th. Back down to the 7th, G string, 9th fret. And then with your thumb, grab the A to start your A chord. So. And then he does another little major lick that you use to walk back to get back up to the E chord. Start on the low E string, 7th fret, slide up to 9th. On the A string, play the 7th fret, and with your ring finger, slide from 9th to 11th. And then what you want to do is you want to grab the D, G, and B strings all together at the 9th fret. It's basically just off an E major chord, basically. And then you do a hammer on the G string from 9 to 11, and then you do sort of trill again on the D string, 9 through 11. So the whole cycle is this. And then the only thing you really have to think about as well is the turnaround. So after you come off the A, you walk up to B. Remember, you're holding the same shape. To D, down to G, A sharp to A, and really that's all. So, I'm not going to get into how you play the actual solo. I mean, you can get the tabs for that. But what I'm going to show you some ways to play over these chords. And the first thing you have to recognize is this is a blues. This is the 1 chord, the E. This is the 4 chord. Back to 1. To 4. It's a 1, 4, 5, and it doesn't really sound. Think of it that way. I mean, think of it as you were playing as a shuffle sort of thing. Now, what I'm going to show you is what you should play over those chords. I mean, first of all, now that you know that it's a blues, you can play that E blues kind of minor pentatonic scale. You can play the E major scale. Or you can play even mixolydian if you want. But one of the things that I found helps the soloing really move is changing the scale you play over the chords. And here's what I mean. Over the E chord, over the 1 chord, try playing major. Then over the 4 chord, play minor. Major. And I found that alternating between major and minor, first of all, that's what Stevie does a lot, and it's what all the great blues players do. I mean, anybody from him to Hendrix does it, Albert Collins. I mean, all of those guys, they make their solos really move by playing over the chords. And one of the things that you can do with that is that if you're not relying on speed all the time to make your solos interesting, when you do pull out your fast licks from your bag of tricks, it's a lot more effective. because the solo is moving anyway. So think about that as you're playing it. Over 1, over 4, minor. And, you know, just a hint for rock players out there that have really focused more on the minor sort of tonalities. You know, if you don't have a lot of major licks in your vocabulary, what you can do is take your licks for when you want to play over the major scale. Take your licks that you're familiar with and move them down a minor third, and that makes it major because you're just playing in the relative minor. So I mean, I'll play the same lick, just in the different positions, and you can see how it still moves. So you see how that works, and you can really mix up your playing a lot, and I think that that'll give you some. It certainly opened up a ton of doors for me when I finally had that shown to me, and I think it really helped you know, make my playing more interesting and less reliant on speed. So hopefully you got some value out of this lesson, and thanks for listening.